Hey out there, it's wakeangel2K1. As I speak, the video for the Awesome Con costume contest is rendering. It's 40 minutes long, so it's probably going to take like a day to upload on my internet connection. So I figured I can shoot another episode of Awesome Con related things. Specifically, something that I bought there. It is something that I absolutely thought that I would never find. It is an official botcon exclusive night Flareup. I've seen these on eBay go for well over $100, but the guy in the booth, after he saw how enthusiastic I was when I finally found one, he let me have it for $40, which is really expensive for a deluxe, but all things considered, considering how much I could have spent, that's not too bad. So the first thing that Night Flareup comes with is this really cool bio card. It has that the knight symbol on it. I remember Googling this image was the only way I could find this particular faction symbol, and the fact that it has a shadow on it caused me lots and lots of editing pain. So you get to see her tech specs. She has 6 strength, 7 intelligence, 9 speed. Of course, she's fast. She's based on RC's mold. 8 endurance. That's not bad endurance. 6 rank, 10 courage, 7 fire blast, and 7 skill. Like, I don't think any of these guys ever have like a low rank. I've never seen many people drop below. No one really has below average intelligence, which is weird. Anyway, I'll just read Night Flarup's bio while you look at her picture here. Let me just set that down so that it's not constantly wobbling and making you guys motion sick. Alright. Courage kindles the fire in my spark. Holding the rank of Knight Grenadier, Flareup is the rookie of the team. While she may be young, she's also highly trained and quite capable munitions expert. Originally stationed at New Polyhex, she trained under the ancient and mysterious group called the Target Masters, and became a star pupil in record time. Setting a new standard for other trainees, Flareup even mastered the devastating and controversial Dark Mount stratagem. This brought her name to the attention of Knight Alpha Trizer, who recruited her directly from the academy for his team of Cybertronian knights. She demonstrates an uncharacteristically cheerful disposition and can be disconcerting given her specialty, but her bravery and purity of spark also serve as an inspiration. In robot mode, her exostructure can withstand extreme temperatures exceeding 8,000 Kelvin, and she carries a superheated vibroblade that can cut through and cauterize almost any known substance. She is eager to please everyone, especially her leader and newest mentor, Knight Jinrai. This proves difficult most of the time, given the varied personas that comprise the knights, but being young, her optimism burns bright. So yeah, that's a lovely little story. She also comes with a custom instruction sheet. It's all basically RC's instructions, but they did print her name, Night Flareup, with a notation that this is an adult collector's toy not made for children. I mean, there's nothing really different about it that you couldn't give to a child. It's just that this thing costs significantly more. The only notable thing I should say about these instructions besides that is that it's just printed on an ordinary sheet of paper, as opposed to the magazine print that instructions are usually printed on. And I'm not sure if you heard that, but I just got a text message. So I'm going to reply to that text message and then show the actual figure itself. Okay, so quick science trivia. For context on what 8,000 Kelvin is, the surface of the sun is approximately 5,000 Kelvin. And I believe that you can melt steel at roughly, I believe roughly the 3,000 degrees Kelvin mark. So, yeah, suffice to say, she can take quite a lot of heat. But yes, this is Night Flareup. It is basically just an RC repaint, so let's get a closer look at her and see if it's a nice repaint. Alright, starting up here, we can see her face and faction symbol. It is done in this very nice light yellow, which is found nowhere else in the figure, and the rest of her is pretty much orange, red, and black. Obviously, her color scheme is meant to evoke the image of a flame, and that is what we get right here. Although there is one weird quirk. Look at her head. She has orange light piping, but her eyes are painted over in blue. Now, why would they do that? The RC figure, by default, had blue light piping. So if they had just left the light piping the way it was, then her eyes would still be blue. Instead, they decided to render her light piping useless. In that case, why even use translucent blue paint? Translucent orange plastic. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Does the light piping even still work, or does the paint completely block it? That's my little batteryless flashlight charging up, and yeah, she essentially doesn't have light piping. Even when I put a light directly into the light piping, it doesn't do anything to make her eyes light up. So they could have just kept the blue light piping, but they chose to get rid of it. Going down the rest of her body, like I said, it's all just orange and red, and mostly red, some black, a little bit of silver highlighting, of course. The insides of the wheel rims are painted red. That's something interesting. Yeah, and you got the orange cuffs. This thing on the back of her tail, you can see that little pattern. The contrast is so low you can barely see it. I mean, even under my stage light and with the camera, the HD camera, it's barely visible, and I can tell you this little detail is almost completely lost in person. I can barely make that pattern out unless I get right up to the figure. And then you can see, if we go up a little higher, on her wing, you see that Cybertronian Knight symbol there, the one with the wings, and it all looks very good. Plastic tolerances on the figure feel just fine, despite the fact that this mold is reused many times, and this is like technically a third party doing it. I don't really feel like any joints are too tight or too loose. Maybe one of the transformation joints on her wing is a little bit loose, but that's about it. So yeah, she's still a very good, solid figure, which given her higher price point, I would hope so. And yeah, no mold degradation here. Now, I could not let this video go without doing a comparison, because as you know, I never thought in a million years that I would ever find this thing. So, in desperation, I went and made one myself, as you may remember. So, how does my Flareup hold up to this Flareup? I'd hate to toot my own horn, but I really kind of think I nailed it. Because, aside from the fact that my paints are a little bit duller since I didn't have access to the shiny metallics, I really pretty much got everything right. I mean, my orange paint doesn't shine quite the same as hers. In fact, my orange kind of stands out a little bit more against the red I used. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, you can also, if you look, well, hold on, let me turn them around. If you look back there, you can even see how the pattern I painted on her rear, on my custom, it's actually a lot easier to make out than it is on the official toy. Let's see. Going back up, you can see my custom. It has the the Cybertronian knight symbol with the wings, and I got it just about the right size and almost the perfect position. I mean, it's a little off, but considering I was working based on screenshots from a computer, I think I nailed it pretty well. And my Flare-Up's head is painted orange, not cast in translucent orange plastic. Although her eyes still use the natural blue light piping rather than being painted blue. But, you know, that was just a little bit of serendipity. Like I said, they really shouldn't have replaced the light piping with orange plastic if they're only going to paint it blue again. Okay, so accessories. These are the accessories that the default RC figure comes with. That oversized gun that looks more like Optimus Prime's than anything RC used, and a forearm blade. Now, this may be a little bit hard to get because, you know, like, we're looking at her superheated vibro blade, you know, so, it's, this is Flare-Up superheated vibro blade. They didn't even paint it a different color. It's just RC's sword thing. And, you know, the gun. So, yeah. On the plus side, that means that, you know, like, if you had an extra RC, you could simply take the blade, and then you can give Flare-Up symmetrical weapons. So, you know, there's that. Hooray. Yes, but aside from that, there's, you know, you can combine the weapons, you can stick them on, you can peg them onto her forearms, you can hold them in her hands. You know, there's nothing special about the accessories. Except for the fact that they're her accessories, you know? So, I guess now we move on to the vehicle mode. Let's get them transformed into motorcycles. Alright, full confession. Although, as an action figure, my Knight Flare-Up custom holds up perfectly well, and you can pose her around and play with her and use her every bit as much as the default RC action figure without fear of damaging her or scraping her paint in any of the important spots. Does hold up. She doesn't really hold up to transformation, as the paint that I use has thickened the pegs that hold the vehicle mode together, and putting her into vehicle mode would mean scraping the paint off of those pegs and leaving her with blue spots when I turned her back into a robot, which would need to be touched up. I don't want to have to go through that, so I'm just going to leave Flare-Up in robot mode, and yeah, so technically she can transform, but it's a pain. I don't want to go through the trouble right now. But, yeah, let's take a look at the official Flare-Up's motorcycle mode, which is that crotch rocket that RC turned into in Transformers Prime. It is a very nice robot mode, exposing very little kibble. The only thing you can really see are the hands there and the feet there, and even then the feet kind of blend into the mechanics, looking just like another part of the motorcycle. Here we see that the Cybertronian Knight's faction symbol with the wings is right side up now instead of upside down. And you can see that there is a metallic orange used on the side of the motorcycle. Although it is very difficult to pick out at first, because it really isn't that big of a contrast to the red. On the top of the vehicle, you can see that there's a little pattern on the gas tank, and once again that pattern from the tail end. The rims are painted red on the motorcycle, and you know and she uses translucent orange for her windscreen and her headlight. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing new to say about this that I haven't said when I talked about RC, except that this really is one of the coolest female robot modes out there. I mean, this mold has been used many times, and well, frankly, that I'm perfectly fine with it being used many times. I mean, there was the original Robots in Disguise RC, and then there was Beast Hunters RC, and then they made her into Chromia by reshelling it a bit. Then And then in this botcon set, they released it. They released the Beast Hunters version of the mold as Flame War, and the original one is Flareup. This one right here. It's a very great mold, and I'm just happy that it has not degraded from its multiple uses. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that this mold has overshadowed the fantastic first edition RC, which I still maintain that I like a little bit better, even if her transformation is just a slight bit more fiddly and she's a little bit more fragile. I still like just that little bit more the first edition RC, you know, because it actually has a waist joint and double jointed elbows. And she doesn't have a giant kibble backpack in robot mode. But, you know, this is still fantastic. It's one of my favorite molds. And if it wasn't for the G1 Accurate Generations RC that came out, this would be my favorite RC mold. But you know, aside from the first edition. But yeah, I mean, it's still great, and it's a fantastic motorcycle. The wheels roll just fine. The mold has not degraded, and the deco is actually really good. The only thing that I could say is a minus is that the orange they use doesn't contrast strongly enough with the red. So but still, that hardly makes it look less vibrant, because it's still, like, it's painted to look like it's made of fire. I mean, yeah, I mean, in a botcon set that featured Flame War, this manages to look more like it's made of fire. That's just awesome. So yes, this is my very first purchase of a botcon exclusive figure, and I have to say, I am very happy with it. I do not regret my purchasing decision at all. Oh, here's a flaw. They put the symbol here on the side of the figure that has all the screw holes visible. If they had put it on this side, then they could have had the symbol and then no visible screw holes. Ha! I have identified a flaw on this $40 deluxe. And it's kind of a minor nitpick. Oh well. This has been wakeangel2K1, and I am signing off.